Welcome to another edition of Bounce Around Charleston. I'm Randolph Miller. Coming up on today's show, in light of all the recent events that has taken place in the news, it seems like there is some mistrust or disconnection between the community and law enforcement. What are we doing to work on a positive relationship between citizens in our community and our local police departments? We'll talk with State Representative Wendell Gilliard, joined by Carolyn Brown, coordinator of the Weed and Seed Anti-Drug Violence Program. And the McDonald's Choir Showcase is back again for its 5th anniversary celebration. We'll speak with the executive producer, Gerald Footman, about what we can expect at this year's Choir Showcase. And you don't want to miss an amazing performance by 2 of the 9 finalists chosen. Now, let's get right to our first guest. I have standing here next to me, Ms. Carolyn Brown, coordinator of Weed and Seed. Welcome today. And State Representative, my friend, Wendell Gilliard.
It's good to be here.
Welcome to Bounce Around Charleston.
Thank you.
Now let's get right into this thing. With everything that's happening in the news, dealing with our law enforcement, what are we doing here in Charleston to make sure that we keep the law enforcement and the community together?
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to go first. You know, I always tell a story, Reverend Miller. When I was a young lad, I always wanted to be a law officer. You know, because to me, as a young boy, you know, watching the law officers being portrayed in a positive image when I was young, and I thought it was a great thing. You know, so as I got older, I decided when I was in 12th grade, Chief Conroy was the police chief here in the city of Charleston. And I went to the city police department and I took the test. And guess what? Lo and behold, I passed, you know? And everything was going great up until the moment they took us in this room and they started explaining to us our annual income. And when I saw that yearly pay, I was like, no. You know? And that's why I'm such an advocate. You'll always hear me preach and teach the fact that, number one, our law officers, and I could say this, being an elected official, they're always overworked and underpaid. Wow. You know, I've always teach and preach that. And now that I've become of age, I've always known through my life that, you know, one thing everybody in this country should know, and this is the greatest country in the world, we do need each other. Whether it's an emergency, whatever the case might be, when you have to dial 911, you can bet that that young woman and that young man who have took the oath as to they've been sworn to protect and to serve, they will answer that call. So my point is, we have to understand we all have to live together, because if we don't, all of us will be non-existent. And I'm not going to choose the latter. All right. So yes, through symposiums, and we got to have them. Because I believe when we have things as such, it creates dialogue. And what I found out through my tenure, a lot of people have respect for that profession. Yes. But a lot of law officers, for whatever reason, they're not, you know, they can't speak up. In a way that we would consider, you know, an outcry. Correct. So to me, all elected officials will have to be the person that does that for them, and I do that with honor. Okay. Now, Ms. Carolyn Brown, as a coordinator for Weed and Seed, one of your positions is definitely to work closely with the law enforcement officers.
Well, you know, I first want to give the highest amount of praise and respect for Representative Gilliard, because he has been our advocate in law enforcement. All of the years that I've known him and worked with him. I grew up in a law enforcement household. My father was a Charleston City police officer. So I didn't have a choice. But that's when young people and the adults in the community alike all respected the police officers. So we need to bring back that level of respect. That's one thing. And the way we try to do it is to engage the community through the youth. So we try to get them involved in our programs. And what we do is go to the community and ask, what is it that you want? How do you want to do it? And what can we do to support it? Because we don't want the programs to just be run by the police department. We need to be inclusive. We need to involve them, and we need to make sure that we have people like you, because you know you serve on the community partnership roundtable, that we have people like you and like Representative Gilliard to come with us out in the community when there are annual events, when there are planned events by the neighborhood associations, when there are forums or public situations where Representative Gilliard and others who are elected officials want to address. We need to be involved in them. We have the community groups that meet with the chief of police and all of the senior command staff every Thursday. They get an opportunity to go and talk about concerns, and it doesn't have to be bad. It could be good. But whatever they want to say, they get a chance to talk to the senior command staff at the police department. We have police officers at every neighborhood meeting. Those that meet on a regular basis, we know the schedule, so we don't even have to ask them when they're going to meet. Rosemont met last night. Eastside meets first Wednesday. We know when they meet.
Okay.
We also have, in the summertime, we also have Police Community Unity Day, and it was founded by Representative Gilliard. It was something that he wanted to do to bring the police and the community working together.
And that's why we're here today, because with everything that's happening in the news with the Trayvon Martin case, and it's spreading around the country, and then communities are getting in an uproar about it, what can we do and say to our community to make sure that we keep ourselves together?
Well, I think one of the things that we have been trying to do, I think maybe it's the third year now, we have developed community action teams in what we call the hotspots, the areas where there have been a lot of activity, if you will.
Yes.
So we have a community action team over in Team 1, which encompasses mainly the east side. And then we have one over in Team 4, which encompasses Maryville, Ashleyville, Ardmore, where there have been, you know, problems in some cases. But these officers actually are on the street with the people.
On the street.
And that's what we need. We have what we call beat integrity, wherein officers only work in their beat. So you won't find them riding all over the city. The reason that they do that is they get to know the people, they know the good, they know the not so good,
right.
They know the buildings and the changes. They can tell when someone's car is not there because they've been gone out of town, or something is wrong with that car, it's been vandalized. So they know when there are problems in the neighborhood because that's the only neighborhood they work in. We also have programs wherein we get the officers to go work like at Shaw Center on Saturdays. It's called a Saturday program. We have Camp Hope. Camp Hope is one of our more popular programs, and we've invited people like Representative Gilliard and others to speak, and we have a speaker every night, 5 nights a week for 5 weeks, from 6 p.m. until 9 p.m.
Engaging the community.
About engaging the youth
of the community,
ages 7 to 12, because one of the things we have to do is be proactive and have prevention programs.
That's that word, proactive.
Exactly.
Yes, it is.
We have to look at situations and say, well, there's not a problem here, but there may be a potential. So let's do something about it before it happens. And that happened because Chief Mullen and Deputy Chief Taylor and other command level officers were walking the neighborhoods, particularly the east side, America Street, Columbus Street, and saw a lot of kids out in the neighborhoods like 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at night, and some of them were unsupervised. Midnight basketball was going on the park, but the kids were standing on the outskirts of the park. And, you know, not every child is athletic, so not every child plays basketball. So some of the children were there and they were unsupervised, so what we decided to do was to work with other folk in our community and to have them come in, bring their activity or their program or their ideas, and help us with the children. We started off at Fraser Elementary School, and I think this year we'll be at Shaw Center. But what we do is keep the kids from 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. And anytime we've got a group of kids contained, doing something positive, we feel good because we know they're not getting in trouble.
Okay, I'll tell you what, we'll be back with more right after this.